All right, let's talk Man United. A very, very professional way of kind of bouncing back from last week's disaster at Old Trafford against Liverpool. After the international break, the perfect way to kind of put those in the back burner is to come back with a win. And of course, they played Southampton, relegation threatened Southampton at St. Mary's. And I think the best way to describe this was professional, very professional performance. However, after 25 minutes, it wasn't really looking that so much. I think Southampton really gave United issues in the first opening half hour, I would say. A lot of the issues that we've seen from United, a real struggle to kind of take control of the midfield. And I think Southampton kind of punished United at times because of that. And in fact, Southampton, they even almost took the lead. This kid, Tyler Dibbling today. I think that's his name, right? Tyler Dibbling. Yeah, Tyler Dibbling, man. Really, really young kid. 18 years old, making his Premier League debut on the day for Southampton. That first 30 minutes, yeah, right? I think Diogo Dallo is a really good player, right? I think he's one of United's more reliable fullbacks, especially the last 12 to 18 months. But this was a day, or at least a first half to forget for Diogo Dallo. I mean, honestly, what Dibbling did to him in those first 30 minutes was flat out ridiculous. And in fact, the penalty that Southampton get comes through the good work of the 18-year-old, twisting and turning Dallo inside out, wins his team a penalty. And at that time, you couldn't really say that it was undeserved. Kobbie Mainoo had one of his poorer games that I can remember from Man United. I thought the young kid from Chelsea on loan at Southampton, Ugo Chukwu, I think is his name. I thought he really had the better of Mainoo at times. Mainoo, again, kind of struggling to really be everywhere and do everything at once, which he's kind of being asked to do in this midfield setup. But like I said, Southampton were probably the better team within the first 30 minutes, and they had the opportunity to kind of capitalize on that from the penalty spot. But shout out to Andre Onana, who continues to have his critics, but one thing you can't really say about him since he's come to United is anything about him on penalties. I think it's been a massive upgrade, especially on David De Gea, who notoriously was pretty poor at saving from the spot. I look at Southampton as well too, though. Pretty disappointing from them, right? When you have a certified penalty taker in Ben Brereton Diaz, and I understand he's new to the club, but so is Cameron Archer, who's never taken a penalty as far as I'm led to believe at this level. So you have a guy who's taken 7 penalties, scored 7 penalties, versus a kid who, as far as I know, has never taken one at Premier League level. Lads, this isn't rocket science, right? You give it to the more accomplished penalty taker. And I think the inexperience and maybe the nerves were kind of there for all to see. It wasn't a poor penalty, but it wasn't the most unstoppable one. Andre Onana gets a firm hand to it. And just like that, Man United are back in the game. And we often talk about in football momentum swingers, or as Faze would say, momentum shifters, or swifters, he would say. We often talk about momentum swingers, occasions during games that can completely change the trajectory of a match. And saving a penalty like that, silencing the crowd, kind of deflating Southampton's bubble that had been continuing to grow and grow and grow with confidence, all of a sudden allowed United to kind of just breathe again, get themselves back into the game, and start playing their football. And I think from minute 25, minute 30, right after the penalty, whenever that was taken, I think Man United were a completely different team. The Man United before that penalty and the Man United after that penalty are two different entities altogether. And then all of a sudden, you just kind of saw them play a little more relaxed, get a little more swagger in their game. The first goal comes through an incredible pinpoint cross pass from Bruno Fernandes. Poor defending from Southampton, I have to say, but give full credit to Mathijs de Ligt. They're on point to meet that cross. Puts it past Aaron Ramsdale, who probably had a day to forget, to be honest with you. 1-0 to Man United. And then again, all of a sudden, all the good work that Southampton had done, it's all out the window, because now Man United can finally just play their game. Man United are at their worst when they had to play a game on level footing with the other team. If they can get the first goal, I think they're able to relax a little bit, because then they can kind of play the way they want to play, sit back a little deeper, be a little more composed on the ball, and let the other team kind of figure it out. I think that's really when they're at the best. If they can get the first goal, then at least they can breathe a little. And then from there, to be honest with you, I think it was a very, very comfortable showing for Man United. The second goal comes from Amad Diallo playing off a short corner to Marcus Rashford, who they say he gets his first goal in 189 days, which I think statistically is correct. Factually, it's correct, but it's his first goal since March. There hasn't been football from March to now every single day. But you get what I'm saying, right? It's again a cross-come shot that kind of just slips past Aaron Ramsdale off the post. And to be honest with you, right, there's not too much analysis you can do on this kind of goal. I think it's one of those that's going through a lot of bodies. Ramsdale sees it late, but for me, I'm just happy that Rashford finally sees the ball go in the back of the net. And I think Tanai kind of alludes to it, right? But especially for a player like Rashford, I think what I'm about to say is especially true. Rashford is the biggest confidence player I've ever seen in my nearly 20 years of watching this game at this point. I've never seen a player so dependent on his mood to really kind of conjure up performances. And it goes, when he's in the mood, he is at times unstoppable. When he's not in the mood, it's at times like playing with 10 men. And I think the last few weeks / months, you have been seeing a Rashford that is low on confidence, has no real belief in any action he's doing, is kind of playing within himself. But maybe a moment like this, let's hope for the best, right, is something that can kind of lift his shoulders back up. And you actually even saw it in this game, right? I think Joe Cole was alluding to it, but the minute he scores that goal, all of a sudden his head starts to pick up a little bit. His shoulders seem a little bit wider. He's playing a bit more freely. I don't know. Look, I'm not a psychologist here. And at the end of the day, I can only analyze what the game is showing me. But here's to hoping that this can kind of start another rich vein of form for Marcus Rashford, and he can kind of get his season kick-started from here on out. Because again, love him or hate him, man, we're not especially blessed with depth in the attacking positions. Like, we have a lot of guys there, but a lot of them proven? Not so much. He's factually the most proven guy we have in our attack. So again, love him or hate him, for Man United to have a successful season, it would damn near help. It would really help if Rashford is a big part of that. So here's to hoping for that. And the final goal, again, like I said, United are pretty comfortable throughout the game. I think they could have scored a few. Joshua Zirkzee, excuse me. I thought had a really, really good performance on the ball, showing his quality yet again, right? It's for a big guy like that. He is a big lad. He has incredibly gifted feet. Honestly, very, very technical player. And what I like about him as well too is he's a footballer. And you might think, well, duh, he's a footballer, he plays football. But you know what I mean when I say he's a footballer? Like, he takes care of the ball. When the ball comes to him, if you're a teammate and you pass to Joshua Zirkzee, you know that whether it's you or your teammate, one of you guys is getting the ball back. He takes care of the ball. And unfortunately, that's not a given for every single player. He wants to keep the ball. He wants to keep things ticking. He wants to be involved. He wants to drop deep. Very, very gifted footballer. And again, for a guy his size to be that technical, it's not an everyday thing. The one maybe qualm that I do have with him at the moment is he's getting some pretty gilt-edged chances. And again, the performances are very good. And for now, as long as the performances are good, you can maybe overlook the misses, especially when it comes in a 3-0 win. But eventually, we'd like to see you bury those Joshua Zirkzee. I know you said you're a 9.5. Don't judge you completely on your goals. But look, for any striker, goals are the currency. So eventually those are going to have to start going in. But I was very pleased with Joshua Zirkzee's performance. The third goal obviously comes in through Casemiro, who comes in as a late substitute. Plays in Diallo, who I think put those 30 minutes behind him pretty early. Plays a very nice ball to Alejandro Garnacho, who finally gets that first Premier League goal of the season. And he's been crying out for it, right? Opening game of the season against Fulham. Rashford plays that pass kind of behind him, and he doesn't get his first one. Against Brighton, he thought he got his opener. Joshua Zirkzee was offside. He doesn't get it. Against Liverpool, not his best day at the office. But now he finally gets that goal. And one thing with Garnacho, I keep saying, maybe it is best that he comes off the bench, because those fresh legs and that directness that he brings is such a problem for tired defenses. And every single game Garnacho comes on for Man United, you see he makes something happen. He creates a dangerous action every single time he gets on the pitch. Again, you can't say that about every single forward, man. There are some forwards that you watch them and it's like they're just going through the motions. Like, after 90 minutes, you could be forgiven for thinking they didn't even play. With Garnacho, love him or hate him, find him frustrating all you want, he makes things happen. As a forward, I think that's the bare minimum. But there's two players I really want to talk about. First of all, actually, there's a few I want to talk about. But Christian Eriksen, let's talk about him first. He was announced at kickoff, obviously, or when the lineups were announced, that he was going to start in midfield with Bruno and Kobbie Mainoo. And I think, first of all, everybody looked at that and said, uh-oh, already we're struggling defending transitions, physicality. Is this another guy that really can't run too well, putting it in our midfield? Is that a good idea, Erik ten Hag? But one thing you're guaranteed with Christian Eriksen when he plays is technical security. And again, this guy is a natural footballer. Just like Zirkzee, he wants to take care of the ball. He wants to keep it. He wants to make sure his team is in possession. Every time Eriksen plays for Man United, that is a guarantee. And you saw it today, right? When Casemiro was on the pitch, right? He's a better defender, a better interceptor, he wins his duels more than Christian Eriksen, right? But we saw it last week. Last week was the epitome of Casemiro in 2024. If you're a teammate of Casemiro and you give him the ball back, there is less than 50% chance probably that you're getting it back. With Eriksen, that's not the case. And I think every time he plays for United, it's not a coincidence that United seems to keep the ball a little better. And it seems like they're a little tidier in possession when Eriksen is on the pitch. I think every single time he's playing, that's a guarantee. One of the most gifted passers of his generation. One of the most gifted technicians for midfield of his time. That can never be doubted. The issue of Eriksen, and the issue why today, okay, it's okay against Southampton, but against bigger opposition, you're going to need somebody else there. Hopefully Ugarte, is Eriksen can't run. That we know. At his current age, his legs are practically gone. I often compare him to like a hologram when it comes to defending. He's not a great defender. In fact, he's probably playing in a deeper role than he's ever played throughout his career. He was a number 10, a number 8, if anything, at Spurs and for the Danish national team. For United, we task him with this deep lying playmaker role, but he showed his quality today at least, and it's tough with him, right? Because he only played 8 minutes in the Prem up to today, or up to when this game was played. And when you watch him in this game and you watch how much he improves United in possession, you're like, oh, he should be playing more. But I think the thing with Eriksen at this point in his career is that you really just have to balance his minutes. You have to use him in correct moments. You have to use him against correct opposition. You can't play him against Liverpool. Eriksen cannot play against Liverpool. But in games against Southampton, in games against, I don't know, Bournemouth, not that Bournemouth are a bad team, but games where you're probably not going to get overrun, but they have very technical footballers and you need to be on par with them. This is where you want to see Christian Eriksen enter the fray and improve your team. Today he did so. And let's see what Ugarte can kind of do. He had a brief cameo, won some nice tackles, kept it ticking. No real qualms of his performance. I thought Mathijs de Ligt and Lisandro Martinez had their best outing together. I thought as a duo, as a partnership, they were very, very solid. They were very, very good. Hopefully both of them are okay, because I think both of them came off with a knock. As did Harry Maguire, which, bro, it's crazy how many injury problems United seem to have every single game. But de Ligt in particular, very, very strong. And I know there were a lot of question marks and there were a lot of eyes on de Ligt especially during the international break, where, look, he didn't have his best outings for the Dutch. But the performance today, very, very solid. And it shows why United were willing to part with 40 million for him. He's a talented player. Let's not act like Mathijs de Ligt has no quality anymore, right? That's ridiculous. There is quality there. It's just about getting the best out of him. And I thought today, him along with Lisandro next to him, again, zero complaints from the two of them. But the one player for me that I have to talk about, and he's rapidly becoming my favorite player at the club, Amad Diallo, man. Oh, man, this kid, right? I think the theme of this video is footballers. Pure, natural footballers. Amad Diallo is a joy to watch, man. Honestly, I said it against Liverpool, right? And it's not even to say like Amad is Messi. I'm not when I say what I'm about to say, it's not because I think Amad is the best player in the world. I think he's a good player, but it's not because I think Amad is like something we've never seen before. But in this current iteration of Manchester United, Amad Diallo for me is undroppable. He's undroppable. What do I always tell you guys? Football is not the aim of football is not to score goals or to get assists. The aim of football is to win football games. And that's therefore the aim of every single player on a football pitch is to help your team win. Now, if that comes in the form of scoring goals or getting assists, then that's your role on the team. But there are some players that just make their team better and therefore help their team win. Amad Diallo for this Man United team is exactly that. And it doesn't matter for me whether he ends the game with a goal or an assist. Today, he got his assist, right? But it's really a Rashford moment of brilliance and like madness, right? It's not really Amad creating a chance out of nothing, but he's still left as probably the best attacker on the pitch, because every single time he gets the ball, he's looking to make things happen. He's putting his defender on the back foot. He's combining with his teammates. He's keeping the ball. He's holding width. He's doing everything for me that a Man United attacker needs to do at the moment. And I'm sure the goals and assists will come. I'm really not too fussed about that. But at the moment, Amad is making Manchester United a better footballing team, and in turn, helping Man United win football games. That's the objective. That's what it's all about. If you leave with a goal and that's how you help your team, so be it. But what Amad Diallo is doing right now for Man United, I'm so happy for him, honestly. He's had to wait his time. He's had to be patient. He's had to watch players, which I continue to insist are significantly less talented than him, play in front of him, wait his turn, never really complain, never really kick up a fuss. And when he's gotten his chance, I said it this year, Amad Diallo was going to be given the opportunity from the start because of his preseason, because of Garnacho coming back from international break. You have the chance to cement your place in this 11. It just depends how you play the first few games. Well, on evidence of the first 4 games in the Community Shield, Amad Diallo is a starter for me in this team. Like, he has to be starting off the right. Has to be. In my opinion, it's not even a conversation anymore. I think he's the most talented attacker United have in terms of like natural ability. I genuinely think so. And today, right, I think he completed the game with the most take-ons, completed the game with the most dribbles completed. Such an intelligent footballer, honestly. Like, every single time he wants the ball, he's going to receive it. He's going to make something happen. And at the end of the move, you're not being hit on the counterattack for the most part. I know against Fulham it happened a few times, but I was really impressed from Amad and genuinely, right, such a nice kid. And I'm really happy that he's finally getting his opportunity, but more importantly, taking his opportunities. So long may it continue. More to come, I hope, Amad. But big win for United, right? Important to get back on track. They got some big results, big performances coming up soon. I think they have Palace soon, which they need to exert some demons from last year. Obviously, the 4-0 They got Spurs coming up. Now they got Cup action. They got Europa League coming up. It's going to be a busy schedule for United. And I don't think they really have the deepest team per se. So it's important to just get results on the board. And I think it was Jurgen Klopp who said it a few years ago, right? The Premier League season doesn't start until after the first international break, because really before that international break, you're getting players back from international duty. You haven't really had as much time to train and get the way you want to. You just came off preseason. Just get results on the board. But after the international break, that's where your team really kind of takes shape and really starts to gain an identity. And I don't know if that's going to happen under Eric Ten Hag. You guys know my qualms with him. But if it's going to happen, now is the time. Now is crunch time. Get a run of results going. Find your set team to kind of go forward with for the next 5 to 10 games. Try and identify a successful way of playing consistently that can get results against small teams and big teams. And let's see what we can do. But I'm not going to get too carried away with this result. It's against a relegation threatened team. Southampton, I expect to go down this year. Genuinely. Too naive for me. Not enough grit in that team. A lot of youngsters. For me, not very impressive. Genuinely. I always say that the gap between the Premier League and the Championship continues to grow every single year. And it's shown by how regularly we're now seeing teams come up and go straight back down. Last year was the first time in ages that all three teams came right back down. And based off this year, would it be a huge surprise if the three were to do the same? I've been impressed with Ipswich. Leicester have picked up a few results, but look, they're hardly going to be finishing mid-table, right? Like, it's not looking great for them. But Southampton, for me, if I were to pick a guarantee out of the three teams that came up to go back down, I think they're surefire, genuinely. And it's just because they play way too naive. We're in an era in the Premier League now where every single team is determined to play this playing out from the back style, whether it leads to results or it leads to their own downfall. We see it all the time now. And look, man, it might be easier on the eye for fans, but at the end of the day, if that's the football that's going to get you back in the Championship in 12 months, I ask, is it really worth it? However, that's not for me to decide. That's for the coaches. Big result for United, good result for United, and we go again.